Thanks for joining me today. I'm Corel Painter Master Aaron Rutten, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to use the 3 new brushes I created for Corel Painter in May of 2018. First up is a brush called Thick Rough, which is found in the Thick Paint AR category. You'll also want to choose a paper texture. It's fine just to choose the default basic paper, and you'll want to use a medium to small brush. If you make your brush too big, it doesn't work well. So I'll just paint a stroke here, and you can see that I build up this nice rough effect. You could use this for a rough paint look, or if you wanted something like a path or dirt, you could choose a color like that, and then just do kind of side-to-side motions like this. You can also blend colors together. So I can blend these two together, and it gives you that nice kind of oily paint look when the colors mix together. And of course, I can change my paper to something else, like small dots, and you can see that I get a different pattern. Now, if I make my brush smaller, then I get a smaller texture. If I make it larger, then I get a larger texture. But as I mentioned before, once it starts to get too large, then it really starts to slow down. You can really see it lagging here. If you make it way too big and it just kind of locks up and then you can't do anything, just hit escape on your keyboard and that'll instantly stop it from painting. Since this is a thick brush, it creates a thick paint layer, and you can only paint with thick paint brushes on thick paint layers unless you right-click on the thick paint layer and convert it to a default layer. Then you could use something like one of your blenders to go in and blend it as if it's ordinary paint. This particular brush is only compatible with Corel Painter 2018 and later. Let's move on to the next brush, which is called Circles. And you can see this nice design I drew here using this particular brush. Now, Circles is found in the Effects AR category. And it does as it says, it draws circles. If you use a small brush, you get small circles. If you use a large brush, you get big circles. But what's cool about this brush is the circles all line up end to end. So if you wanted to draw necklaces or bracelets, it would work really well for that. Now, of course, you'd want to go through and add some shading to these. So I could turn on Preserve Transparency, select something like the airbrush, select a lighter color, and then I could go in and shade in these if I wanted them to be pearls or some sort of jewelry. It's pretty easy to do. I'll just do a few just to show you for example's sake what can be done. Put a little highlight on a couple of these. Very easily you can make jewelry and other sorts of designs. I'm going to select black, and I'll go ahead and turn on mirror painting mode, and then I'll go to kaleidoscope mode, and we can use this to draw designs using the circle brush as well. I'm going to go ahead and click back on the kaleidoscope or mirror painting tool. I'm just going to turn it off. Let's check out the next brush, which is called Greasy Blender. Greasy Blender gives you an effect like this. I'll go ahead and just put down some paint with a different brush, such as the scratchboard tool. Put down some blue here, and maybe fade it into this color, and then into that color. Then I'll choose the Greasy Blender in the Blender's AR category. And I can use this to blend my paint in kind of a greasy way. You get these nice broken edges when you pull out your paint like this. Now, if we want a little bit more control over how this brush works, we can look in our dab stencil panel. And we can decrease the strength of the dab stencil, and then we'll get more of a smudgy result. As we start to decrease it, we'll start to see more blending of the color and more mixing. Now, you might also notice that there's a pattern being created by the small dots. We would actually probably want to choose something like basic paper or something that's more textured. Let's try simulated wood grain. Now we get a more broken, bristly result. So we're using a combination of our paper grain and our flow map that's being used as the dab stencil. So we could also look in flow maps, and we can change this flow map to something else, like fine dots. I'll increase the strength of my dab stencil, and then it'll be a little bit more apparent when I'm using it. But as you can see, I can blend my paint up and get some very nice organic looking results. If you want to reset this brush to its default settings, just click on Reset Tool. So there you go, that's a demonstration of how to use the 3 new brushes I created for Corel Painter in May of 2018. You can download these brushes from my website right now at aaronrutten.com. I'll put a link in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.